WLW Cincinnati. It's 5 o'clock and time for the latest news from WLW Communications Exchange. President Kennedy will visit that rare thing, a Republican city in the South, on Friday. Dallas has turned to the GOP in recent years, but the city is important in Mr. Kennedy's plans for next year, since he carried Texas by only 43,000 votes in 1960. Thursday, the president visited San Antonio, where the reception was warm, and Houston, where it was not so warm. He's spending the night in Fort Worth. A lawyer for James Hoffa says he'll appeal a ruling that bars him from practicing in a federal court in Nashville, Tennessee. The lawyer, Z.T. Osborne, was barred from the court when two judges ruled that he tried to bribe the jury in a Hoffa case coming up. The judges said Osborne admitted offering the bribe through a middleman. But Osborne asked the public to reserve judgment until he appeals. He also said the Teamsters president had nothing to do with the alleged bribe. The threat of a nationwide railroad strike is back now. The sleeping car porters union is threatening to walk out next month unless it wins a 40-hour week, higher wages, and greater job security. Leaders of the AFL-CIO voted Thursday to back the porters. An AFL-CIO spokesman said a strike would halt every train in the country. There were tears in both Republican and Democratic eyes Thursday when Congressman John Burns of Wisconsin explained his investment in a company that figures in the Robert Baker investigation. Burns, a Republican, admitted buying the stock before it was available to the public and at a much lower price than the public paid, but said he did nothing wrong. Toward the end of his speech, Burns wiped his eyes, as did others, and the entire House stood and applauded. A declaration agreed on by Russia and the United States on outer space travel goes before a UN committee Friday. The declaration was announced Thursday, covering the legal aspects of outer space exploration. However, it omits any mention of spy-in-the-sky satellites by either nation. The drafters hope the 28-member Committee on the Peaceful Uses of Outer Space will sponsor a resolution sending the document before the General Assembly. The U.S. and Russia are continuing their argument about the East German Highway. A Russian note released by the Soviet news agency lays the blame on American officers. It says they refused to submit to the normal procedures early this month when an American convoy was delayed 41 hours. Russia's note was in reply to an American note saying the Soviets are changing the highway procedures arbitrarily. Red China has warned the United States it will help Cambodia militarily should it become engaged in fighting with South Vietnam and Thailand. The announcement followed Cambodia's decision Wednesday to stop receiving U.S. economic and military aid on grounds America is planning to undermine the Cambodian government. Both South Vietnam and Thailand are anti-communists and receive U.S. support. Prime Minister Hayato Ikeda's pro-American Conservative Party has defeated left-wing opposition in Japan's parliamentary elections. The turnout in Thursday's balloting was the lowest since the end of World War II. At the halfway point in the counting, the Conservatives had nearly 61% of the votes. Pope Paul is expected to officially declare the acceptance Friday of a document which allows modern languages to be substituted for Latin in some Catholic services. The Ecumenical Council, which gave preliminary approval to the document Thursday, will have a final vote on it at the same time. This will be the first major work completed by the Council. But now, ventriloquist Eugene Lambert of Dublin has been convicted of making a false declaration. The 34-year-old Irish comedian and ventriloquist admitted he obtained a driver's license for his dummy, Finnegan. But he said he did it only to prove that anyone can get a license in Ireland. WLW Weather Service forecast for Cincinnati and the Ohio Valley. Well, showers developing in eastern Indiana, central Kentucky, moving eastward now. Possibly a few showers in the greater Cincinnati area sometime around 6 a.m. Some showers throughout the region today, increasing in frequency late this afternoon. Now, the current temperatures are mostly in the mid-50s.
Come on, get up. It's time for Dateline RFD. Good morning. This is Dateline RFD. It's a rather sleepy morning from the looks of the people that you have to work with around here this time of morning.
We resemble that remark.
And you resemble that remark, Pete Matthews says. Well, they're getting a little tired, I presume. They've been around here since about 11 o'clock last night. Here we get up bright and cheerful and sunny with a wonderful disposition about 3 o'clock in the morning. Rush down to work, get everything on the air, get the whole day started. Then the vice presidents come down at 9:30 for coffee. It's 6.5 minutes after 5 o'clock, and I'd better get to work, or I won't be here tomorrow.
You're the highest fidelity, most cheerful announcer in radio today.
Thank you very much, Pete Matthews. I see where the Roman Catholics at the lunch for the president in Dallas, Texas today had a dispensation to eat sirloin steak, although it's Friday. A church spokesman said the president didn't need one. The Diocese of Fort Worth and Dallas granted the dispensation since most of the crowd expected at the Trade Mart for the lunches are non-Catholic. A spokesman said that the president didn't need the dispensation since he's commander-in-chief of the armed forces and church laws of fast and abstinence do not apply to the military. Plans to feed the president the biggest, juiciest steak in Texas fell through, though. Secret Service said that it'll choose the president's steak for him at random from the 2,000 that are cooked. This is a customary precaution where the president dines at public gatherings. First stop for President Kennedy today is Dallas on his second day of his trip around Texas. Dallas has gone Republican lately, and there are sure to be some protests among the crowds. Yesterday, the president and Mrs. Kennedy were warmly greeted in San Antonio. In Houston, the crowds were big, but not as friendly. Goldwater signs were bobbing in the crowd, and a plane flew overhead trailing a sign, "Coexistence is surrender." Many of you listeners are suffering from symptoms of stomach distress due to excess acid. If you suffer from such distress, get Willard's message of relief. It explains the Willard treatment, which has brought soothing relief to thousands suffering from symptoms of acid stomach distress, from poor digestion, heartburn, acid dyspepsia, headache, sleeplessness, or symptoms caused by stomach or duodenal ulcers. Well, you've tried one thing after another until you've just about given up hope that anything will bring fast relief. No matter what you've tried in the past, a free copy of Willard's message will tell you how and why this treatment acts so quickly to relieve symptoms of distress arising from stomach or duodenal symptoms. Ask for Willard's message at any Gallagher, Gray, Walgreen, or Muir drugstore or any other authorized Willard dealer. Just look for the Willard sign in the window. Russian diplomacy is entangled in disputes in Africa, the Middle East, and Germany. At Leopoldville in the Congo, 100 Russians will be packing and leaving the entire embassy staff and their families. First to go will be 2 diplomats accused of plotting against the government of Premier Adula, who says the Soviets can send replacements and keep the embassy going, but every Russian there now must get out of there. Russia is keeping quiet about its troubles in Iran. That Middle East nation says the Russian MiG shot down a civilian Iranian plane over Iran Saturday, killing 2 men. In the past, Russia has accused the United States of using Iranian planes to spy along the border. The Navy says a salvage ship may try to bring up the wreckage of a U-2 spy plane today. The plane crashed Wednesday. It's been discovered about 40 miles northwest of Key West in about 100 feet of water. The search for the pilot is still on. Informed sources say the U-2 was on its way back from a routine mission over Cuba. The National Safety Council says any driving time is time to use seat belts. Always use seat belts and care. This is Wlw-Radio, Cincinnati at 5:30, and time for Farm Reporter, and here's George Logan.
That was a sneaky thing to do, Howard. Sitting in there just hypnotized by your...